Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. I found this article written in 2013, but it actually has the same relevancy, if not more, in today's world, titled Gold and Silver Are Insurance Against $17 Trillion of National Debt and More. The link will be in the description. I definitely think you guys are going to enjoy this. It goes over a lot of the stuff I've been talking about recently, how our old banknotes were actually, backed by precious metals, and some of the stuff that was written on the back of these notes, and also just where we lie in today's world after we got rid of the gold standard. It's a really cool video. I definitely know you guys will enjoy this, so make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos. But anyways, let's jump into this article. So investing in physical gold and silver is not a profit-driven investment. It's a mindset. It gives investors the same type of peace of mind that protects their wealth they receive by insuring their home, auto, or health, just in case something happens where they need it. What other type of insurance gives a return that is guaranteed not to be zero and has a 4,000+ year history of purchasing power stability? What other currency can claim such a track record? Is it the Federal Reserve notes that you carry in your wallet that have 42 short years of existence without a relationship to gold? If gold was so invaluable, why do all central banks own it? Why do we have any gold at Fort Knox? Why are Germany and other countries asking to take possession of their gold? Very, very important questions. And this definitely, right off the bat, hits the nail on the head for how valuable and how timeless precious metals are. As soon as I read that article, or that paragraph, I knew I wanted to share this with you guys. It's definitely well thought out and drives many crucial points to the world of precious metals. So Federal Reserve notes are legal tendered and a promise to pay. Why are 1-ounce gold American Eagles legal tender, just like the Federal Reserve notes are? It's because gold used to back Federal Reserve notes. In fact, many don't realize the Federal Reserve notes are a promise to pay. Before 1934, these Federal Reserve notes were called gold certificates and used to say at the bottom of a $10 certificate, for example, $10 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand, which I have highlighted in the paragraph or in the graphic below. So you can see right here, $10 in gold coin payable to the bearer on demand. So this meant that you can actually exchange this for gold. Now you can actually buy some of these gold certificates and stuff from coin shops and online. But so one could take their certificates to the bank and exchange it for a gold coin. This is because you will notice at the top of the certificate it says $10 of gold coin has been deposited in the treasury of the United States of America. These gold certificates also had written on them the following: this certificate is legal tender in the amount of therefore payment of all debts and dues, public and private. After the government told everyone to exchange their gold for notes in 1934 by the Executive Order of 6101, and then the introduction of the Gold Reserve Act, the $10 note and the $20 note too changed to say this at the bottom: will pay to the bearer on demand $10. So that is when things changed. What else does the 1934 note say on it? It says the note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, and is redeemable in lawful money at the United States Treasury or at any Federal Reserve Bank. What is lawful money? This is where one of most reports of 1792 Coinage Act and Constitution and beyond where I want to take this conversation. But look at the government. Look what the government did to the money. They changed the word from certificate to note, and they changed redeemable in gold coin to lawful money. Does this mean the Federal Reserve notes by the Fed's own admission are not lawful money? If one can exchange a note for lawful money, wouldn't then this imply by default that this is not lawful money? I don't think a case could be made for that, since Federal Reserve notes are legal tender by government decree. So what the Fed and Congress are really saying is, with this change, is this the new 1934 Federal Reserve note is redeemable well in more Federal Reserve notes. So basically, they're trying to say that if you want to exchange this $10, you will now be getting another $10, not anything backed by actual value. Not $10 in gold coins, not $20 in gold coins, but our money, our promissory note is replaced by that, and that's meaning that when you have debt, or when you're pumping out these dollars into a system, there's nothing backing it, and the more you pump out, the more it's not backing. So when we're trading these money for exchange goods, then you can see how hyperinflation will start blossoming. At the time, on a larger governmental scale or global scale, gold was still backing currencies and traded accordingly to settle debts among nations. It wasn't until 1971 that the US was losing gold, and as the world's larger countries coming to head with France's demand for gold were turning in their Federal Reserve notes for our nation's gold, and Nixon had to do something to stop this. Nixon closed the gold window and forced all other countries to take our Federal Reserve notes as settlement. So this was on a global scale now. The gold exodus continued, and to make matters worse, the U.S. began running a substantial trade deficit, a politically charged issue given that unemployment remained at 6%. Nixon had to act, but his advisors were split. So, as well as Schultz wanted to close the gold window, Burns was opposed. Severing the gold link would turn into money money into paper. If the government no longer had to preserve the dollar value in metal, how could the administration claim with any credibility to be countering inflation? And this is exactly what I was just talking about. How could you get rid of, or how could you counter hyperinflation, which is rapid inflation, with something that is printing out dollars with nothing to back it? It's a promise. You're trying to dig yourself out of debt by replacing it with more debt. So the Nixon shock was a central cause of the great inflation of the 70s. It also spelled the end of fixed relationships that had governed the financial universe. Previously, people took out mortgages for set periods and at fixed rates. They had virtually no options for saving money other than in banks, and interest rates that banks could pay were capped. Floating currencies unleashed a new world of risk and instability. For the first time, investors could bet on the direction of interest rates on Swiss francs, or as the Swiss franc. New financial instruments, new speculative tools. I mean, I'm gonna try to keep this video in a timely manner, but I'm gonna just highlight some of the points. So this is a perfect point though, and it actually gives a lot of context on what was happening and why. But the real why isn't really answered. It really doesn't make sense, but I can see from a political, powerful standpoint, you know, I guess, some of the ideology behind it. I really don't understand, why they could put this in motion, and to such a degree, understanding how hyperinflation works, understanding how the dollar's never worked in any financial situation. Obviously, looking backwards, it's easier to say. In the moment, they were obviously trying to do this from a more controlled standpoint. Hyperinflation is nowhere near controlled nowadays, though. We're actually $24 trillion in debt now. But it's just crazy. It's really interesting to me, and it's interesting to see where precious metals would lie if none of these things would have been put into Congress or into an actual policy. Gold was priced at about $40 an ounce in 1971, and Federal Reserve notes from that point forward said that bottom $10 or whatever the amount of the bill is, and the additional verbiage simply stated the note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. So our money was then backed by, or fiat currency, I guess I should use quote unquote fiat currency, because silver and gold are the real money. That's what our money was. This was back in the day, was telling you can trade this dollar bill, this promissory note, in for money, which was the gold and silver. So anyways, reserve notes, 42 years without gold backing. How are we doing? The national debt is approaching 17 trillion, actually 24 trillion now, because this was written in 2013, and unfunded liabilities over 120 trillion, which is much higher now. So there you have it. 42 years. Now we have the Federal Reserve notes with no relationship to gold, and a Federal Reserve that has been happy to enslave Americans via Congress to them for the interest payments for the rest of their lives and their children and grandchildren's lives. To make matters worse, the Federal Reserve allows Congress to spend more than the country earns each and every year, raising the national debt to over almost 17 trillion, which will hit in October, or $53,525 per person in America, and $148,000 per taxpayer in America. The only way to pay this debt off is by higher taxes or inflation. Congressmen never get elected saying, I'll raise your taxes, which means your purchasing power will dwindle as the Federal Reserve note buys you less and less over time. For this, you need the insurance of gold that provides. And that is so true. This is exactly why precious metals are a preservation of your wealth against the deflating dollar due to hyperinflation, due to pumping out these worthless dollars into a system that's collapsing, losing 98% of its purchasing power and growing more and more every year. There's no way to fix this now. We're too deep in a hole to fix it. All we can do is take the alternative, which is precious metals, which was the answer from the beginning, from the start. I hope this video was a great way to break down and see the fundamental point of view that I always talk about in my videos. You know, it's really cool that I found this article which actually kind of broke it down and showed the statistics and, you know, actually showed pictures and notes and how it really changed over time. Because after the gold standard, after this, you know, was taken out of action, we were SOL. We were definitely heading up for doom and no way to fix it. There's no way to fix it. Donald Trump has jokingly talked about the gold standard coming back, but obviously that will not work in today's society, in today's economy. You know, financial stability or instability is growing more and more by the day. It even says, you know, it mentions in here, you know, there's that we've completely taken out gold from you know, from our notes or from our currency, but it's still silly, or it's ironic how most central banks are owning so much gold and silver, even though you can't trade in any of your money, any of your fiat currency for the silver. So why do they have it then? Obviously they see the value in it as well. Why does Donald Trump own so much gold and silver? You know, he owns Atmex. He's bought in property at Atmex. So, you know, this stuff isn't just ironic. It's not by coincidence. People obviously see it. And this is obviously a chart from usdebtclock.org. If you guys want to check it out, just type in usdebtclock.org. It shows the national debt. It's actually $24 trillion right now. This was in 2013, so it's a lot different. So anyways, though, I just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope you did enjoy it. There's actually more of this article, but obviously for timely manners, I didn't want to share every single, you know, part of it. I wanted to highlight some of the main points, the main, you know, the main arguments that we could have, and also explain some of the stuff behind it and how they relate to precious metals. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos, so stay tuned. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.